Hi, and welcome to UCF's Advanced Research Computing Center's orientation, also known as the ARC. In these sets of videos, we're going to go over how to use the ARC, how you'll be able to submit your jobs, and get started. This very first one is just an overview of the ARC and its clusters, and then how to set up your own keys so that you can start connecting to the two clusters. Just as a quick background, the ARC is a cluster. Normally, a cluster is set up of series of computers, of nodes. In this case, we have two clusters. One is called Stokes and the other is called Newton. Stokes is for general CPU computing, and Newton has GPUs inside of them, so it's really good for machine learning, computer vision kind of task. These two clusters are separate. You'll see separate addresses for both of them, and you'll be able to connect to those separately. But based off of the jobs that you have, maybe you have a CPU intense job, then you're probably going to want to submit to Stokes. And if you have one that's going to be using the GPU, that's going to be Newton. So if you go to our website, arc.ist.ucf.edu, you'll see our webpage. And this has all the information that you would probably need for our cluster, including a little bit of background of it. We have resources. We can see the two clusters status and a little bit about them. So if we click here, you see that we have Stokes. And learn a little bit about Stokes. In this one, we have over 4,000 compute cores, InfiniBand, so they have high-speed internet connectivity between them, so you can load data, transfer data, especially when you're running a job that has multiple nodes connected to each other to speed up your job. There's a lot of storage, there's a lot of power, and there's a lot of cooling to be able to run these. So Stokes, again, is our general CPU computing cluster. And then we also have Newton here. So if I click the About on Newton, you'll see that Newton has GPUs. We have over 21 nodes here running different kinds of GPUs. And when you submit a job, you can gain access to the GPUs for your own computation, and it also shares some of the other stuff that I just mentioned about Stokes. Also, you'll see on this page, you'll see that there's the help section. So at any point, if you need any additional help, maybe submitting a job, learning some things about our modules, if you go down to help, you'll see policies and tutorials. Under these tutorials, it lists all the different kinds of things that you could learn more things about. That's not included in the video series that you're watching right now. So for example, if you want to see how to log into one of our ARC clusters, here's a page. So again, I went to help tutorials and log into ARC clusters. You'll see that there is sets of tutorials for both Linux, Mac, Unix, and then also Windows here. So if we click, let's say for the Windows one, you'll see information of how to connect if you're in a Windows user. And if Mac, it's the same thing. Just click that drop down and you'll be able to see more information. In these videos, I'm going to explain how to connect via Windows. We won't be using PuTTY because the instructions are here. We'll be using something called MOBA Xterm. But you can, if you're familiar with PuTTY, there are instructions there, or if you are a Mac user or Linux user, there's instructions here of how to set up your keys and be able to log in. The main thing that I wanted to explain while we're on this page is, again, the cluster is at your, you can use it. It's completely accessible to you as long as you have your keys and your account set up. The cluster is made up of a series of computers that you'll be able to submit jobs to. But the main thing is that it's not really like your traditional computing environment where you can just run something on the fly. In fact, when you are ready to submit a job, you have your code already uploaded to our cluster, so it's remote, and then you submit a job saying the resources that you would like, and then you schedule that job. Things don't really work instantly all the time, but you would be submitting a job that has your code, that has maybe your data, and then once the resource is available, the nodes that you're requesting is available, then it will then take your job and then execute it. And the plan of that is that you see the output of that code execution. One thing I wanted to show is if you go to any of in resources, either of these clusters, you can also see, like for example, for Stokes, you can see our node matrix. If you click that, and here are all the nodes. Green means that they are idle, and then you have the other classifications, maybe down or busy. For example, this series here, they're busy right now running jobs, but you can always see what the status of our nodes are by going to that resource. Here are what resources, and then Stokes, and then a node matrix. And then for Newton, it's the same thing, resource, Newton, and then node matrix. Let's just look at the node matrix now for that. You see that there's much fewer nodes here because it's our GPU cluster. But right now they're kind of busy being used, except for these three that you see right here. You can also see the percentage there. So I suggest if you are ready to submit a job later on, just check out the node matrix to see what's available, and then submit a job that way. So submit a job later on using that information. So again, going to arc.ist.ucf.edu, you get this information. In the next video, we're going to set up your keys, so then you'll be able to log on, assuming again that you have your account set up and you have possession of your public and private key pair. I'm going to show you in the next video how to connect those using MOBA Xterm to be able to connect to our cluster.